Mexico lawmakers are taking on artificial intelligence.
Earlier this week, an Albuquerque man was arrested on charges of creating child pornography. That's already a felony, but in the future, the charges could be upgraded because of his method. New Mexico Attorney General Raul Torres.
Our approach would enhance the sentence for committing those felonies if generative AI is used in connection with that felony.
In the same way that sentences are enhanced if a gun is used in the commission of a crime. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney, on a state visit to Beijing, says his country has agreed to cut its 100% tariff on Chinese electric cars in return for lower tariffs on Canadian farm products.
It's expected that within 3 years, this agreement will drive considerable Chinese investment in Canada's auto sector, creating good careers in Canada.
Carney says there will be an initial annual cap of 49,000 vehicles on Chinese EV exports to Canada, growing to about 70,000 over 5 years. YouTube is updating its guidelines for videos that contain material that may be considered controversial. YouTube saying videos that dramatize or cover issues like domestic abuse, suicide, sex abuse, and sexual harassment without graphic descriptions or imagery are now eligible for full monetization. An appliance distributor is expanding its recall of mini fridges to cover nearly 964,000 Frigidaire products after multiple fires. I'm Dave Packer, ABC News.
Quiet down, here she comes. Shh. Surprise! Your accountant just emailed to say your quarterly taxes are way higher than you were expecting.
At Progressive, we know small business owners don't usually like surprises because they cost you money. But a good surprise that could save you money? Getting discounts with a commercial auto quote from Progressive.
Also, your favorite employee is leaving. They're going to pursue their dream of being a veterinarian.
Surprise yourself. See if you can save in as little as 8 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
2.1 FM, KVNU.
It's now 5:05, and I think we can say the weekend is officially here. I'm Will Feelwright with your KVNU local headlines. Hour 2 of KVNU For the People show. Well, the Cache County Council opened its first meeting of the new year earlier this week by unanimously re-electing its current leadership and finalizing a plan to fill a vacant seat. Council Chair Sandy Goodlander and also Vice Chair Catherine Buse were both confirmed to retain their roles for the coming year. Now, the council also scheduled a special meeting coming up January 20th to formally appoint a replacement for Barbara Tidwell, who resigned back on December 31st after 9 years of service. Now, the Cache County Republican Party will be holding a special election coming up tomorrow at Ridgeline High School to select Tidwell's successor for the Logan Seat 2 vacancy. Now, candidates include Joanne Bennett and Jeffrey Wallentine, who are both vying to serve the remainder of her term through December 2026. Well, Utah State University holding ceremonies earlier today to officially inaugurate Brad Mortensen as the new president of the university. Now, this comes as USU also received the 2026 Carnegie Community Engagement Classification. It's the highest national recognition for institutional commitment to community partnership. Now, the designation, which was awarded by the American Council on Education and the Carnegie Foundation for the Advancement of Teaching, recognizes institutions that align research and teaching with community needs. Now, this marks the second consecutive cycle that USU has earned the classification. Now, university officials noted that in 2024, faculty reported 130 community-engaged courses and more than 1,500 public service commitments. Now, USU President Brad Mortensen said that to achieve this reclassification for a second consecutive cycle demonstrates just how much USU values their connection to all of their statewide communities. And the Utah State Board of Education is meeting to navigate the legislative mandate to cut now 5% from the state's public education budget. Now, it's a move that would eliminate critical mental health and suicide prevention programs, possibly. Now, lawmakers ordered the reduction on January 5th, forcing the board now to consider several proposals. Now, contested cuts include the Utah Fits-All voucher program, dual immersion, art education, and school-based mental health screenings. Now, board member Joseph Carey reported receiving over 1,500 emails from the public, many specifically protesting cuts to suicide prevention. And the high school basketball is coming up tonight, beginning at 7 o'clock. Of course, we'll have the Grizzly game tonight as Logan is hosting Grantsville from Grizzly Den. That game will tip off at 7 o'clock with our pregame show beginning at about 6:50 here on KVNU. Now, other games, Green Canyon will host Tooele, while Ridgeline will host Deseret Peak. Mountain Crest hosts Stansbury, and then Skyview traveling over to Tremonton to take on Bear River. All of those games tipping off at 7 o'clock, and as always, you can watch video at CacheValleyDaily.com. Well, we were hoping we might see a change in the forecast, enough to clear up the air, but it does not look like it's going to happen. These hazy skies are going to continue through the weekend, as we've been in the low 40s today. Tonight we'll drop into the low 20s, then be back in the low 40s for Saturday, Sunday, into the first of next week, as these hazy skies continuing now, looks like through possibly Thursday, before we'll see a storm that could help clear up the air. And weather this hour brought to you by Edson Builders. Did you know you could qualify for a $20,000 first-time home builder incentive? Yeah, call Edson Builders and find out if you qualify. 232-2680. They promise a better building experience. And I'm Will Fielright with your KVNU local headlines.
At Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology, it's no different. Dr. Daines is so grateful to get to call Cache Valley home and continue to offer his services to the wonderful people that live in our beautiful valley. He wants to help you start your new year off right by improving your hearing, which over the course of time will help improve your quality of life. Give them a call at 435-753-4327 or 753-HERE to schedule an appointment, or you can visit them online at CacheValleyHearing.com.
Breaking news and stimulating talk. News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
Out here, hard work isn't just what you do. It's who you are. And at Black Cliffs Equipment, we're proud to stand beside you with Kubota tractors. Right now, get 0% financing for up to 36 months. Or save up to $4,500 in instant rebates on select Kubota models. Plus, we carry genuine Kubota parts and offer fast repairs. To thank you for what you do, mention this ad when you come in for a free gift. Black Cliffs Equipment in Hyde Park and Far West.
Now through 2/28/26. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com for more information.
Hey business owners, are you frustrated with your workers' comp rates? This is Matt Robbins with Quality First Insurance. As an independent auto owners agency, we work with multiple carriers and will give you options. Our experienced agents are ready to answer your questions and help you navigate these options. Let us help you find the workers' comp policy that's right for your business. Call us today, 435-752-0101.
Do you know a champion in our community? Nominate them for the KVNU Above and Beyond Salute. Every Friday morning at 8:30, we'll spotlight a firefighter, law enforcement officer, healthcare worker, or other deserving individual and give them a $40 gift card to Firehouse Subs. Submit your nominations for the Above and Beyond Salute by visiting kvnutalk.com. Help us recognize the champions in our communities. The Above and Beyond Salute, sponsored by Firehouse Subs on News Talk KVNU, the voice of Northern Utah.
Welcome to KVNU's For the People. Hope everybody is having a wonderful Friday afternoon here in Cache Valley. Andy Morgan joining us in just a couple of minutes. We've been spending some extra time with Andy over the last few weeks. Wanted to catch up from the holidays. We missed a few shows there before and during the holidays, but also to get ahead of the Utah Film Critics Association official nominees list, Oscars buzz, some Oscars films returning to theaters this weekend, by the way, which is probably the biggest news as far as what's new in theaters, honestly. But there's great stuff coming. We'll talk about that. Again, we discussed this a little last week, hints and rumors for years, but Kathleen Kennedy, it's official, is leaving the Lucasfilm world. This is after many, many years as one of the most well-known 14 total, guiding Star Wars generally, and also guiding through one of the most transitional times in the Star Wars universe, behind the scenes, as the Disney purchase went into effect and Kennedy transitioned over into kind of being the decision maker at Disney for Star Wars related projects. Personally, I'm a pretty big fan of her work. She also, served as producer alongside Lucas on the Indiana Jones franchise, was a producer with Mr. Spielberg on E.T., and she officially started working for Lucasfilm in 2012 and was sort of co-chair alongside Lucas himself. And then she was elevated to the sole head of the company when Lucas sold his controlling shares to Disney. And Disney paid $4 billion, by the way, for those shares and to the Star Wars brand. As you know, George Lucas then completely stepped out of the picture and even rarely weighs in on Star Wars in general these days, which I think is probably smart on his part. Although I often do find myself curious what his opinion is of this or that happens. But Kennedy, so it's been interesting. Older fans, and by older I mean probably my age, I don't think have been very kind to Kennedy at the helm of Star Wars. Despite the fact that, under her leadership, we got The Mandalorian, which has been kind of a cultural phenomena. Even if I don't get it, The Mandalorian is the first Star Wars venture that became a hit and became a cultural phenomenon in which you have kids buying the toys and wearing the T-shirts and all the things you saw with the original Star Wars trilogy in the 80s. But this time around, I didn't get it. I saw them. I just didn't, I don't know. It didn't hit me for some reason. The Obi-Wan Kenobi series, though, man, that is, yeah. And I think their biggest success, of course, has been the spinoff of a spinoff, which, yeah, you knew that Star Wars had this potential, even with that first original trilogy, but Andor, 2 seasons of Andor, the story of Cassian Andor, who, spoiler alert, doesn't make it to even the first original Star Wars film before his death. He dies in the Star Wars timeline in between the prequel, Revenge of the Sith, and the only good prequel, and the original first ever Star Wars film, A New Hope. And his story, though, told in Andor is, and of course, his final moments of life, final days of life, told in, I think, the best movie to come out of the Star Wars universe since Lucas's departure, Rogue One. That, I think, to me, it just stands. If you want to talk about Kathleen Kennedy's career being, the new George Lucas after he sold to Disney, I think Rogue One and the Andor series are the best examples, but there have been some really good things. There have been some huge faceplants too. The Boba Fett series, I slogged through that one. It was fun to, if you're a real Star Wars nerd, you'll know who I'm talking about. If you don't know who I'm talking about, you don't care. But it was fun to see an IG-88 actually get some screen time. You only see like a foot and a little piece of a head in The Empire Strikes Back, but one of the coolest action figures I think that was ever made. And so there were points in the Boba Fett series that were great, but overall just a huge pile of slop. That said, I don't know, it's been fun. Andy and I joke about this on the show all the time. It's been fun to watch the Kathleen Kennedy haters because a lot of times their hate seems to be, and it's always, middle-aged guys, which, you should have something better to do, maybe. But it's been pretty nitpicky and silly. There was a great upset that the new Jedi was going to be a woman when rumors started to come out around The Phantom Menace. And then that was confirmed by the movie. And then there was, previous to that, there was, shortly after the film's release, there was huge uproar over the fact that a stormtrooper takes his helmet off, and on top of that, he's black. So now we're doing the DEI thing with stormtroopers, blah, 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 blah. They're supposed to be, clones. And no, I mean, these are the things that grown men were arguing about on the internet. And no, they weren't supposed to be clones. That was before the fall of the Empire, and Phantom Menace takes place after that. Get your timeline right, nerds. This isn't unique to Star Wars in any way. You saw stuff like this, and again, we're talking middle-aged, grown individuals having these same arguments now around Twilight and the Hunger Games, and that Team Jacob, Team Edward thing. When the Hunger Games was in its heyday, that was pretty wild, and those people are now middle aged and also still arguing about it online. I don't know. Maybe it's something about super fandom. Maybe it's something key to these these franchises and to these properties as the Hollywood lawyers call them. Generate a certain or attract a certain crowd maybe that takes fandom more seriously. Maybe it's just the Star Wars and Twilight to its own set of fans are so beloved by the fans that any even the mere suggestion of changing something or making something different is offensive. Maybe it's a combination of all of these things, but I don't know. I think I was so nervous. As a huge Star Wars fan, I was so nervous when the announcement that Lucas was going to sell. Everybody I think knew it was coming. He was getting older, and he'd hinted at it for a long time. But I was really nervous because I think the most obvious thing that could have happened is some Disney or some other big media mogul with lots of money to throw around organization buys the Star Wars name and franchise and rights to everything, and then just turns it into a quick money-making scheme that would have made billions, of course, but then just hollows out the entire Star Wars, the brand, basically. To be honest with you, I was a little concerned Disney might do that because it's not theirs. What do they care? They just buy it and get, wring every ounce of money they can get out of it. And then who cares if they've hollowed it out and turned it into a joke at that point? That's kind of what I thought would happen when Lucas sold. And so if you're a Star Wars fan out there, I think that's one of the biggest reasons you should be a fan of Kathleen Kennedy, because I think they're probably, I have no insider information. I'm not that big of a nerd, but I think there were probably influences and forces inside of Disney that maybe wanted to go there. To make a few $1 billion in 2 to 4 years, and then who cares if Star Wars itself is then just kind of a hollowed out shell of what it once was, because we've beat it to death to make the money so fast. We'll just keep the streaming options alive and move on to something else. We made our money back, and so I kind of thought that's what would happen. I thought this was a quick cash out kind of buyout situation. And I think Kennedy was one of the people who made sure that didn't happen. She made sure that Star Wars stayed its own thing under the Disney umbrella. And I think this is worth pointing out too. And Kennedy, I think, deserves some credit for this. But this kind of set the stage for other purchases, Marvel and things like that, where kind of similar rules were laid out. Marvel was gobbled up by Disney, but in such a way that the way that it was written out on paper, the purchase deal was written out on paper. Disney basically was just an owner on paper. All of the current decision makers and leaders that had made the Marvel franchise what it was and really built it up out of nothing, they got to stay and they got to remain the decision makers. And I think stuff like that is a pretty big deal. To me, Kathleen Kennedy is somebody that should be kind of, for real Star Wars nerds, she's somebody that should be looked at as a bit of a hero. So I'm just saying it. By the way, the final work of Kathleen Kennedy will be on screen this year in a couple of different ways. The 2 films on the way, Mandalorian and Grogu, coming in May, and Sean Levy's Star Wars Starfighter, which we don't know a lot about yet, which is set to release in May of 2027, so back-to-back, year after year there. And what we do know about that, by the way, is that after the rise of Skywalker, Kennedy brought some of the originals back, Jon Favreau and some others, and asked them to create more of these Star Wars live action TV series that led to The Mandalorian and eventually Andor and some mediocre ones like The Acolyte and others, but they are being brought back again now. One of Kennedy's last decisions, basically, coming back for, I don't know about this, Darth Maul, the villain from The Phantom Menace, is getting a series. Could be good, I guess. I mean, he was kind of interesting and just overshadowed by that really, really bad dialogue. And then Ahsoka is getting a second season. I don't know where that goes. And the revival of Ron Howard's Willow. Is everybody excited about that, right? That's going to be a series on Disney+. These are all decisions that Kennedy oversaw. If it was not, maybe she wasn't intimately involved in them all, but she oversaw them. And yeah, so that's where kind of things are at in the Star Wars world for what it's worth. But I thought this was kind of cool. Kennedy, when this announcement was made this week, yesterday, Disney's top brass gave Kathleen Kennedy a send-off, and there was a lot of stories told. But Bob Iger, Disney's head, told kind of I just thought it was cool. He says, when we acquired Lucasfilm more than a decade ago, we were bringing into the Disney family not only one of the most beloved and enduring storytelling universes ever created, but also a team of extraordinary, talented people led by a visionary filmmaker, George Lucas, and his handpicked successor, Kathleen Kennedy. Iger then joked that this was quite a relief for him that Lucas was sending his team in to oversee not just the transition, but the long-term future of the Star Wars brand and Lucasfilm franchises, because Iger said, I think we would have screwed it up. I thought that was kind of a cool little moment of honesty from Bob Iger during the event yesterday, though. So, yeah, what happens next? Well, someone else will take the helm and hopefully keep, the track record of more successes than failures going, because again, as a lifelong Star Wars fan, I think what Disney has done is cool. And even though there have been some, like Boba Fett and Ahsoka, that weren't great, I think what they've done overall is cool, and they've been respectful to the Star Wars brand. And I think as long as Disney keeps that up, they'll have some success with fans. I think people will finally get over the newness being so shocking after, Star. I get it though, really. I talked to a Star Wars fan once. This was an uber Star Wars fan. This was someone that was dressed as someone from Star Wars at a Comic-Con event in Salt Lake that I covered, and I asked this person, how they felt about Disney taking up Star Wars and these new shows and all of that stuff, and he explained to me that it took him a while to wrap his head around this, because he said, Star Wars was such a part of his childhood. Star Wars was such a huge deal to him and such an important part of just his growing up. And he said, for years, he kind of felt like Star Wars was his, or at least if not his, it was something that belonged to his generation. And so he said he admitted it. He said, it took me a while to sort of not be bothered by almost this selfishness that would set in when I would see young kids excited about the prequels, or teenagers excited about The Mandalorian. He said, I realized at a certain point that part of my attitude towards all this new stuff coming from Disney-owned Star Wars was that Star Wars was no longer just mine and my generation's, that it was now. And I thought that was probably one of the most honest things a nerd has ever said to me. You know what I mean? Like, just the idea that there was this element of, like, because this was just ours, like our generation. And obviously more so for people older than us, but our generation, Star Wars was something only we had experienced it in theaters.
It's kind of funny though, because I would say, like, our age,
and maybe a little bit older, I think are like kind of that peak Star Wars.
Ooh, that's a good word.
Because
peak Star Wars.
You know, like,
because that's what we're talking about here, right?
Like, for instance, my parents, while they, probably enthusiastically went along, weren't like, woo, Star Wars.
Yeah. Yeah.
Boy, these talkies have got a little strange. No, they. So
I'd kind of converted my mom by Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember.
But it's not, they're not going to go to a Comic-Con. Not that I'm going to go to a Comic-Con. But it's interesting, too, because, like, my kids' age, like, they think the prequels are, like, the bomb. You know, and you and I, again, to me.
We don't get it, but
well, I
think we need to make space for it.
I always say this. I say, look, it's Star Wars, right? It's like pizza. Like, there's no bad pizza.
Yeah, and at the same time, there's also no pizza you should be paying $80 a slice for.
Right. Like, here's an example. Like
not to downplay Star Wars, but it wasn't.
Not to bag on, like, Little
high
Caesars,
art.
right?
It was fun, right?
The prequels are Little Caesars. I don't know if that's a sponsor for the show. Just kidding.
Well, it used to be
until today. No, like, for instance,
I think Little Caesars would agree with you on this.
No, you get a hot and ready pizza. If you eat it within the first 5-10 minutes, you're like, this is delicious. This cheese, this crust. I don't know why people bag on Little Caesars. If you leave it for 30 minutes and you come back, you're like, where's all the cheese?
It's literally just a weapon at that point.
No, it's like tomato bread. You're like, where'd all the cheese go? The pepperoni's got legs and crawled up and went somewhere.
Disappearing.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Once the moisture leaves.
And that's kind of how the prequels are to me. I'm like, that first bite was kind of delicious. What's going on 2 hours later? So
yeah,
it's funny, though, to watch the comments today with this whole Kathleen Kennedy, changing of the guard. All these guys in the
they're so upset.
They're like, finally, the emperor has been defeated.
Well, and that's my defense of her. I think there were more forces within Disney that probably would have leaned towards just hollowing this out, making their several $1 billion in the first 4 years, leave Star Wars a hollow joke, and they made their money back from the purchase, and that'd be the end of it. But I think Kennedy said, or Kennedy coming in with the sale.
She has allegiance with it. She's attached
and Disney showing respect by saying, hey, you get to still call the shots.
Well, here's my question.
I think it played out really well.
Here's my question.
Sorry about that.
What are all the incel nerds going to say now when Star Wars doesn't work? When Kathleen Kennedy has long gone, you know what's going to be. So for the first couple of years, they'll be like, "Well, we got to clear the slate. We got to clear the slate of all the Kathleen Kennedy stuff
with Ahsoka season 2."
Yeah, and once that's done, and once he's allowed to operate, just without it by his own self, it's going to be great. It's going to be great. Oh, only boys now. Only boys and whites.
When
Star
Wars. The first
back to where it should have been.
Post Kathleen Kennedy Star Wars series on Disney Plus is the Ewoks of Endor season 2.
And all the Ewoks.
Now, what was that called? Caravan of Courage.
Yeah.
That was the name of it.
They all live at home in their Ewok mom's basement, and they wear sweatpants, and they carry tiki torches. And you know what? They don't have to make their bed if they don't want to.
My biggest shocking thing, honestly, you read some of this stuff online sometimes, and then you remind yourself, this is a middle-aged man.
First of all,
just typed this.
First off, there are no girls. Second off, Luke doesn't have to make his bed.
No girls allowed.
Third off, no girl Jedis.
We'll be back with more of the For the People movie show with Andy Morgan here in the studio right after these headlines with KVNU's Will Feel Right.
Thank you, Jason. Utah-based dessert giant Crumbl has announced it's exploring the potential of moving into the breakfast and bakery market by testing donuts. Now, company officials confirmed this earlier this week. Now, while the company became a household name under the branding Crumbl Cookies, it's recently transitioned into a broader identity. Now, the shift has been reflected in the addition of non-cookie items like cakes, brownies, and pies as part of its rotating weekly menu. Now, Crumbl officials telling USA Today earlier this week that donut testing is currently in the early internal stages. Now, the company emphasized that there are no immediate plans for a public release, and they suggested that any potential nationwide rollout is likely still some time away. Meanwhile, a southern Utah representative is introducing legislation to explicitly ban proposition betting, aiming to try to close a perceived loophole in the state. Now, Representative Joseph Eliason of Washington County said that his upcoming bill will clarify Utah's criminal code to ensure that proposition bets are legally defined as gambling. Now, unlike a wager on the final score, a prop bet focuses on specific occurrences within a game, such as how many yards a player gains, that do not necessarily impact the final outcome. Now, while most platforms like DraftKings use geolocation to block Utah users, Eliason noted that some prediction market platforms are currently operating legally under federal regulation. Now, while the state cannot curb federally regulated prediction markets, Eliason's bill would seek to empower the Utah Attorney General's office to issue cease and desist letters to any sports platform allowing local users to wager on individual athlete performances. Now, the bill, of course, comes amid a national rise in sports betting scandals and concerns over game fixing at both professional and collegiate levels. And former 3rd District Judge William Kendall pleaded guilty this week to reduce charges stemming from an investigation into inappropriate conduct at a house party last year. Now, Kendall pleaded guilty to sexual battery and attempted distribution of a controlled substance, both Class A misdemeanors. Now, the plea was entered as part of a plea in abeyance agreement. Now, under the deal, the charges could be dismissed in a year and a half if Kendall meets certain court-ordered conditions. Now, those include having no law violations, having no contact with the victim, also writing a letter of apology, and continuing counseling. Now, the former judge resigned his position back in April of last year after allegations surfaced that he had inappropriately touched a woman over her clothing without her consent and then provided a marijuana vape pen to another woman during a gathering that was at his house back in February. Now, the case was transferred to the 2nd District Court to avoid any potential conflicts of interest. Kendall originally faced a 2nd-degree felony of forcible sexual abuse and a 3rd-degree felony of drug distribution. Now, Judge Ronald Russell, has scheduled a review hearing coming up in April to assess Kendall's progress with the terms of the agreement. Well, this haze expected to continue as we head into the weekend, as temperatures tonight going to drop into the low 20s, and looks like Saturday and Sunday we'll see temperatures staying in the low 40s with hazy skies, and first of next week, haze expected to continue, but by Thursday we do have a storm possibly on the horizon that could bring a chance of some rain and snow toward the end of next week, and that might help clear up some of this air. And it's Dr. Keith Nilsson that brings you weather here at the bottom of the hour, helping you to live pain-free from knee pain, also sports injuries and arthritis. It's Dr. Keith Nilsson. You don't have to leave Logan for pain relief. Visit Dr. Keith Nilsson's website at drkeithnilsonortho.com. It's Dr. Keith Nilsson. And I'm Will Feelwright with your KVNU local headlines.
ABC News, I'm Brian Clark. Another oil tanker has been seized by U.S. forces off the coast of Venezuela. That announcement moments ago from military officials saying the ship was boarded without incident. This is the 7th tanker seized accused of running oil illegally out of Venezuela. Today, President Trump welcomes Venezuela's opposition leader and Nobel Peace Prize winner Maria Machado to the White House. This morning, the president threatened to invoke the Insurrection Act in Minnesota, which could allow him to send troops into Minneapolis amid protests over ICE operations. ABC's Faith Abube is there.
The mayor here in Minneapolis saying the situation here with thousands of federal agents here on the ground is simply unsustainable. He says his officers are working tirelessly, responding to this chaos instead of focusing on basic 911 calls.
4 astronauts are back on Earth after their mission on the ISS was cut short by several weeks because one was dealing with a medical issue. This is ABC News.
A new year doesn't ask us to become someone else. It invites us to come home to ourselves. At Bell Sculpt, we know real change isn't about chasing youth. It's about restoring confidence after life has done its work. If 2025 stretched you, shaped you, or asked more of you than you expected, let 2026 be the year you choose you. To celebrate the new year, enjoy 26% off of all Bell Sculpt procedures. Our way of honoring your courage to begin again. To find a clinic near you, go to bellsculpt.fm. Bell Sculpt. Love the skin you're in.
Whole Tree Care.
Winter is finally here, and for Whole Tree Care, it's when the smartest work gets done. January and February mean the biggest savings of the year on tree trimming, 40% off. With the leaves gone, it's easier to trim and shape your trees, all while beating the spring rush.
Whole Tree Care.
The only finger you have to lift is to dial the phone number, 760-6587. Whole Tree Care, 760-6587.
Whole Tree Care.
Here's what some of our patients have to say about how Red River has changed their lives.
I went the traditional medicine route, and it was not tailored to me. It was just a one-size-fits-all. It was, this is how you do the program, and it was probably not going to work. That's what everybody always told me along the way, and somebody told me about Red River. They brought me in, they did testing, and everything was catered to my body and what I was actually experiencing, which was incredible.
At Red River Health and Wellness, our whole goal is to identify the underlying mechanisms driving your condition. Once we identify those imbalances, then we'll put a treatment plan together that's specific to you, and then we improve those imbalances one by one, and then slowly teach you and educate you and show you what to do and what not to do so that you're the expert in your own health long term.
I'll never forget the day I woke up, and I went about my day, and I stopped, and I said, I feel completely normal. It really, truly not only helped me save my thyroid, but it gave me my life back.
Call Red River Health and Wellness at 855-55-RIVER.
Call Red River today.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People Movie Show with Andy Morgan of andy@themovies.com here in the studio. And Andy, I waited until you'd arrived for this. I have a one-sentence review. I'm way late to this, I know, but if anyone out there hasn't seen it, I have a one-sentence review of Avatar 3, Fire and Ash. And that review is, this is probably one of the prettiest, best animated movies that has ever existed.
I love that you said best animated.
The water is so realistic, and even the little camera things with, you know, the camera dipping underwater as if a real human was holding. I mean, it is honestly amazing. They put into making this look real when none of it is except Spider. And they should stop making them now. This should be the end of it. And
now we're done.
And we're done. That was a fun ride, James. Go explore the Titanic.
The first one
safely, preferably, because you seem like a nice guy. Yeah, first one was fun. Second one was like, okay, we're going somewhere.
If I
maybe.
had told you,
and then the third one was like, oh no, we're just circling.
If I had
we're
told
not going
you
somewhere
in 2009, hey, Jason, I want you to know that in 2025, and you're like, when I'm in a flying car, I'd be like, that's right.
When Elon got us to Mars.
And you're like,
that year, you mean?
I'm like, Jason, when you're in a flying car in 2025, you may go to a newfangled drive-in to see, wait for it, and you'd be like, Avatar 47? And I'd be like, no, actually, Avatar 3. And you'd be like, really?
Wait, what's the plot? What's
just
the plot?
The third
well,
one.
It's kind of the same thing as the first one.
Here's the thing.
But
also,
now the rocks.
I'm sorry.
Now the rocks float.
Jason, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to cut out Avatar 2, but we don't have to talk about it because it's the same thing going on in Avatar 3.
Yeah, you only need to see one of these.
Basically, the 7-foot-tall blue aliens with their USB tails are still just trying to protect their big tree, and they're also really creepy spiderweb grass that absorbs you into the ground.
Which somehow seems to not cause other problems.
And also healed Spider's asthma, his interplanetary asthma. And also by that time you're going to be so tired of hearing Zoe Saldana.
Yeah,
I can't even do the voice. I'm not going to do it because I'll kill it. But
it's tough.
And you're also going to be really tired of hearing that general with his always witticisms.
Yeah.
Hey, Sully.
And he's a bad villain.
He was fine in the first one. He was like, but here's the thing.
But then he was the villain in the second one.
I'll just go back to what we said.
And now he's the villain in the third one. Spoiler alert.
Whether you thought it was recycled plot in 2009, people talking about it's, Ferngully and all this stuff, whatever. It doesn't matter. The point is it was really cool at the time, and we all liked it. It made bazillion dollars.
And I'll say the same thing about this one. It is cool to see. But it's worth the ticket price and the 3.5 hours of your life to go sit down and witness it.
Yeah, but
don't expect to be wowed by the plot or the story or
the example too is like I look at it as Jurassic Park. Like the first Jurassic Park, you go and watch it and you think, oh man, I've never seen anything like this in my life. This is so great, and it's rewatchable, and people go, and it's a big thing. But and then 3 years pass, and you go, here's the second one, and everyone goes, oh. Yeah, well, we've seen these dinosaurs.
Yeah, and it's sort of the same.
It's kind of the same. Yeah, and then the third one, and then people just are like, yeah, I'm good.
We don't need it.
And that's kind of how we are with this. Actually, this is a great...
Which is unfortunate because they could have taken this places, but instead it's just been, isn't this cool?
Yeah, I don't...
With the same story and basically the same characters, 3 movies now.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, you know what? Like I said, it's hard to fault... James Cameron, I mean, the dude's a genius. There's no way around it.
See, that's what I don't get. He's also a better writer. Like he has done some things as a writer that are better than these Avatar movies.
Yeah.
So I don't understand. Is he just run out of time?
No, I just think sometimes. Well, here's a great example, and I'm sorry. Like, I think every filmmaker, once they've reached a level of success, they're like, well, I can kind of do what I want now. We've seen it with Spielberg.
So this is
because if you think about Spielberg classics,
this is Cameron's Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
No, you just think like Spielberg's classics probably range from like again, late 70s to like probably late 90s.
That's a good point.
And then they're kind of hit and miss, right? You appreciate the audacity, you appreciate the he's going for 3, but they don't always land. Now. I'd say he's probably been...
I just thought of this. What if Lucas and Cameron both live long enough that George Lucas is remaking Avatar or doing prequels to Avatar?
That's in like the multiverse.
and then Cameron is remaking the prequels, but just Attack of the Clones.
Didn't Cameron... Did I read
I want to turn
somewhere...
Attack of the Clones into a trilogy.
Didn't he get offered to direct Star Wars?
I think it was The Empire Strikes Back. It may have been Return of the Jedi, one of the two.
Or was it a prequel? I swear it was a prequel.
Oh, I thought I'd read...
I'll
never mind. I thought I'd read that he was actually on the short list for directing...
Says that he wasn't. It wasn't.
Oh, it's not true?
Nope.
Some famous director was.
Yeah, I remember there was, but it wasn't. Apparently it's not him. Anyway, but yeah, going back to that, I just think, he's had so much success that... So there's something, it's a passion project, and I think the prequels were for that to Lucas. And again, I don't mean to bag on the prequels. Like I said, it's Star Wars, it's pizza. I don't care what Star Wars it is. People can bag on the Acolyte, they can bag on whatever they want. Man, you light up a lightsaber, you throw Jedis and ships in there, I'll show up every time. Every time I'll show up. I may not love it as much as others, right? I may not love the whole, hey guys, FYI, Palpatine is back.
Yeah,
there's things I don't love, but I don't hate it.
And I love, this is one of my favorite. So the closest any of the 3 latter movies gets to the prequels in writing is in Attack of the Clones. Excuse me, I'm saying in Attack of the Clones level, bad writing is in The Rise of Skywalker, where you literally have the line, somehow Palpatine returned. And that's it. You're just, okay, and we're running with this, I guess.
If I was going to talk...
By the way, it was David Lynch and Guillermo del Toro.
Okay.
Those are the 2 that turned down Star Wars invitations.
I would say this, again, with the passing of the torch from, Kathleen Kennedy to Dave Filoni, who has the... I always pictured Dave Filoni as the guy where you show up camping and then you actually see him in the office, and you're like, have you ever changed clothes? He's like, no, I wear this hat all the time.
Same cargo shorts.
My camping hat, my Tevas.
Crocodile Dundee
Anyway,
hat.
I do love, I'll be honest, I've watched interviews with Dave Filoni. I've been impressed with some of the stuff he's done. But he's on the big stage now, and I don't have any problem with Kathleen Kennedy. I don't have any problem with the direction of Star Wars, what they've tried to do. It's a universe that is worth expansion, and they've tried to keep expanding it. Yeah. Some things hit, some things don't. I will say my one criticism of Kathleen Kennedy, and this is me not knowing behind the scenes, right? Yeah. Is if there was two things I could go back and have her change, or potentially, is I would have liked to see what a Rise of Skywalker, which it wouldn't have been called that, with Colin Trevorrow. If they had stick with the initial plan, the initial screenplay, I would have liked to see that movie. My second thing is I would have also liked to see.
I still would like to.
Yeah, I would also.
Even though I liked Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, I would like to see.
But I'd like to see what was originally planned to follow The Last Jedi.
Yeah, I would have liked to also see where a solo movie with the guys that did 21 Jump Street that got fired midway. I would have loved to see.
No offense to Ron Howard, you made you made a.
No, Ron Howard's
a quality.
Yeah, Ron, he's serviceable.
Movie, but
he is serviceable.
He made a serviceable, enjoyable movie.
Yeah,
but someone could have done something great with the first independent solo movie.
But also the idea that somebody.
We also I think we got cheated out of a trilogy. By that, I think that had that gone differently,
that's fair.
We would have seen a solo trilogy.
But here's what's going to happen. I'm going to offer a prediction, and we talked about this last week. Is if anyone thinks Kathleen Kennedy's getting fired, that's pretty hilarious because that's not happening.
Yeah.
She's 72 years old. Like
she came into this. She'd been doing this for decades before she joined Lucasfilm.
She is the highest grossing producer of all time.
Yeah, she was a producer on E.T.
Yeah, I mean,
to give everybody an idea of how long she's been doing this.
So nerds sitting on their couch going, "Yeah, you ruined it," and making their YouTube videos with their YouTubes. Yeah. You know what? Yeah. I'd like to see you go toe-to-toe with Kathleen Kennedy. She would torch you.
You'll see her name on basically some of the biggest blockbusters going all the way back to the early 80s.
Yeah. No,
when you see that with somebody, even though most people don't really even know what a producer does, but when you see their name attached to so many of these huge hits for decades, like you have to at least say there's a chance they know what they're doing.
Well, and here's the other thing.
I think she did a good job.
I've like I said, I've really enjoyed the interviews I've watched with Dave Filoni. He seems to get it. He has obviously a passion for Star Wars. He loves it. He does. I mean, people call him a George Lucas disciple. I would say that's pretty accurate. There's things that he's said in regards to the prequels where I've been like, ugh. And
yeah, he's a defender.
And then he says something, not even really in defense. He just explains it, and I go, "Oh, okay. Well, never mind then. That puts a whole new paint job on things." But it's interesting. You were talking about Avatar 3 a minute ago in your one-sentence review. That's a great segue into the movie that I came today with, which is Greenland 2, which I wish it was just Greenland 2, but it's Greenland 2 Migration. In case you needed to know what was going to happen.
Who's this for?
In Greenland. Yeah, so my reviews, I put my review up already at Andy at the Movies. We'll add the link to today's show. I'll add that later in case you're missing it. But here's the thing. Greenland is a great disaster movie, and there's so many good things about it. It unfortunately came out at the wrong time. It came out during the pandemic. They delayed it a few times. Finally, they were like, you know what? Just put it out. Put it out.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people haven't seen this. Greenland, the first one.
Not the one hitting theaters today.
I can't say enough good things about that one. It's really it's just such a great look at what would happen if everything kind of hit the fan, right? And then in the plot of Greenland is there's a comet. Again, like some other movies, Armageddon, Deep Impact, all those type of things. We didn't know this comet was coming. Here it's coming. We think the pieces are going to break up. Everything's going to be fine. And then, at the last minute, they're like, JK, this one's huge. It's going to land
all of your efforts were in vain.
Yeah. And then then again, similar to 2012, people are getting, notices saying, hey, we need you to come to this secret bunker in Greenland, hence the title. And he and his family are one to get that, and they just every time they try to, it's one of those movies where you're like, boy, you guys have bad luck, and that's actually how Greenland 2 starts. Is again, it's not a sequel that anybody asked for. The title of my review was solid sequel that nobody wanted. It's not terrible, but like
that's why I'm asking sincerely. Like, who was this made for?
Well, this is kind of how I ramped this up. But the end of this show basically is, hey, we can't stay here forever. We're running out of supplies. We've got to find a new place to go. And then it's like, well, every place is either toxic, there's crazy storms, or there's infighting, there's war. Like, the world's different now. We don't know. And they're like, hey, but you know where we could go? This tropical paradise where the comet landed in the crater. It's a place. Apparently, it's like a luxury resort. Everybody wants to get there. So they're like, well, let's get to the crater. So the way, again, not to throw out spoilers, but
I think most people are going to be okay with it.
Yeah, my bottom line was I didn't need to know. This is what I wrote in my review. I didn't need to know exactly what happened to the Garrity's, that's the family, after Greenland, but this delivers a competent, sometimes tense epilogue. Will I see it again? No. Worth a full price ticket? Probably not. Still, calling it bad would be wrong. It's a solid, serviceable closer. And then my last line was, just please no Greenland 3, 2 crater, 2 craterous. Let's be done with the Greenland movies, folks.
So you're saying it does? Yeah, that's what.
Let's be done.
I was shocked that a couple of things shocked me about this, that I'd never heard of it until today, and that it was coming, and that it happened.
The best thing
that
too,
someone. I mean, this got greenlit committees of people.
They don't cost very much. I looked at the budgets.
Maybe that's why
they made their budget back.
But I mean, was
on
this
the original, and it wasn't even.
Whose passion project was this? That's what I want.
Honestly, the thing I love too about it
is
that
not rest until there is a
for
sequel.
so long, people saying, "Hey, Gerard, I know you have trouble with an American accent, but we're going to need you to try your best." And he's like, "Sure, Portland." Right? He can't do it.
We actually have that. I can't remember where.
That's a good clip.
We used to play this. Oh, here we go. I think. Maybe.
Let's cut to the chase. The president's plane is on a collision course with a Venus flytrap the size of a skyscraper. You need to get me on that plane.
Hey, where are you from?
Portland.
Which one? The one in the middle.
Portland.
Yeah. But I love in this movie, they're just like, you know what? He's Scottish. Just be Scottish. So they're just like, yeah, he's from Scotland and he married an American lady. So anyway, if you like disaster movies, these are up your alley. Again, I would check out Greenland, obviously, before going to see Greenland 2 Migration. But, nothing. I mean, it's not great, but I can't really badmouth it,
Yeah.
I don't know, again, who decided Greenland 2 was an important thing to do.
I think we should maybe say bad mouthing for the Bone Temple.
Actually, I haven't seen the Bone Temple yet. I'm going on Monday, and I'm telling you right now, all I hear is wow. People are
really?
like, yeah.
I feel like this is an attempt to go. I use this when we started the hour. I used this example just before you got here. I said, you have these. Stephen King will do these crossover stories.
Yeah.
Like The Body becomes Stand By Me, The Green Mile, Shawshank Redemption. And then everybody's like, oh, this is his venture into the literary, Same writer, he's just not being as gross and the monsters are a little more subtle. And so it's his venture into the literary. I feel like this is that version of that, but with film and the 28 Days franchise. This is their attempt to go, you know what, we want an Oscar. What's Ralph Fiennes doing?
Yeah, and
because they're going philosophical with this one.
This is again,
which I mean might work. I don't know.
This is a movie that should have also been released. The 28 years later should have been released in November, October.
Yeah,
that was not a summer movie. June. Again, some really poor choices by studios this summer. Eddington being released in July, I think, killed some of its award.
I still wonder if that's what happened to The Fall Guy the year before, too.
Yeah, I could see that, but The Fall Guy also feels like a summer movie. I think maybe releasing that in May might have been a disadvantage.
Maybe they should have waited till June or July.
I'll be honest with you. I think the resounding theory right now is nobody knows anything anymore.
The Fall Guy is the one that still confounds me because
don't know.
I saw that movie. That is everything that is usually a huge summer 100%. Hit. Action, comedy,
and nothing.
A tiny bit of romance, I think. I can't remember.
I don't think it broke 100 million.
Yeah, it wasn't
domestically.
It just like it never happened, and it should have been a huge moneymaker that summer. But I like you said, I think it just says what nobody knows anything. Oh, a quick note: did you see Hamnet is back in theaters here in Logan?
Yeah, I wanted to mention that to everybody. Check that out. It's probably the most beautiful, devastatingly beautiful movie I've ever seen. That is my pick, which, a quick plug here, I am going to meet tomorrow in Salt Lake City with the fellow members of the Utah Film Critics Association. We are going to vote on our 2025 award nominees, which you can actually look at if you want. If you go to utahfilmcritics.com, those are up there. But just as a little bit of a... Yeah. I honestly, like I said last time when I was here, for me, Hamnet, Sinners, those are two that are really kind of leading for me in almost every category. It's going to be hard to dissuade me to vote outside of that.
How do you feel about Sinners kind of getting the snub at the Golden Globes?
I mean...
Do you care about the Golden Globes?
Yeah,
Does anybody?
No. Some people do. If you got an award, you'd care.
That's true. I sort of felt bad, though. I saw a little bit of the broadcast, and it's like this tiny little high school auditorium. Big-name celebrities there, but it's this tiny little... Yeah.
You know, while you're cavorting in Sundance...
Yeah.
I will be checking out some movies. I'll be seeing Mercy. That has Chris Pratt and Rebecca Ferguson. Chris Pratt, who is transforming into the new Vince Vaughn. Like, everyone was like, man, Chris Pratt's great. And then it's like...
Okay, got irritating.
All right, bye.
Yeah.
And then,
bye.
and then Send Help, which looks really good. That
does look good.
Yeah, I mean, Sam Raimi, we don't hear from him very much often, and the last time we heard from him, we were like, that's okay.
Yeah.
With the Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, which might be the worst Marvel movie I've ever seen. And I've also seen The Eternals and the second Captain Marvel, which, again, are fine, but that was not... I remember... It's you know this. You and I have done this a long time. It's been rare when I leave a movie and I'm just angry.
Yeah.
That was one of them. So.
A Tree of Life, I think, was another one that I remember.
It's just like,
nope.
Nope. But so a lot coming, and then we're going to spice things up in February. But you'll have to let us know when you're at Sundance, the last Sundance Film Festival.
Last one in Utah. We'll have some highlights of that in the coming weeks. But one last really quick plug for everyone out there. If you're looking for something to watch on a streaming service, I watched this myself. Watch Chain Reaction on Shudder. You can actually get a free trial right now through AMC Plus that includes Shudder and Sundance, the Sundance Channel, whatever. It's a documentary on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but it's like they just interviewed who was free, because the people they talked to were like comedian Patton Oswalt, Stephen King, makes sense,